Okay, hi again, everyone. Welcome back. We're still talking about box seat baseball. As promised, I'm going to take you through the batter pitcher interaction for the game and show you some examples using Jimmy Wynn's card here. A couple of caveats. First of all, I am not a master of video production, so I'm going to do my best to hold the camera steady so you can understand what's going on. But this isn't going to be like a Hollywood production. Hopefully, that's okay. Also, wanted to make sure that you knew what version of box seat I'm going to be describing. There are multiple versions of it, which I think is a cool thing about it, but I think also maybe creates more confusion for people because they're not sure what's under the hood and what's easy play and what's classic. And both easy play and under the hood have some different variations within them. So I play the under the hood version. That's the one I'm going to focus on here. And I use limited flip cards, but I will show you how those work as well as how you can do it with just dice. It's both are options for you. But briefly, under the hood starts with a roll of 5 dice. You can see 2d6, white and then black. You read them in that order. If you're familiar with APA, you know that what I'm showing you right now is 34, not 7. And that's how you read it for box seat. Then you have a green die and a red die. And you'll notice that the red die is both very large and has an E next to the 0. And that's to remind you that when you roll a 0 on the red die, you're going to check for an error. I put a smaller D10 in red up above. I just use that one. I've been playing the game long enough that I know that 0 means check for an error on the red die. And it just makes it a little bit easier to roll this instead of this. So, and then there's a pitcher's die, and that's white, and it's a D10. And you'll notice, there's a 1 showing, but if you look to the left, there's an A, and to the right, there's a 3E. And those are some various notations you'll get to know as you learn under the hood related to the pitcher. And this die is only used on circumstances where there's a possible hit and you make a reference to the pitcher's card. So that will be explained as we go further. But right now, I'm going to focus on specifically walks and strikeouts. I think that's the easiest way to start this tutorial is to show you walks and strikeouts and how the batter and pitcher interact on those. So when you start an at-bat in box seat, you're going to roll your white and your black dice, and then your red, or your green and your red, and then your white die. But for walks and strikeouts, you really only need to worry about the white and the black, and you may need to worry about the red if it's a 0 and it turns out to not be a walk or a strikeout. But if you look at Jimmy Wynn's card, one of the reasons I picked his is he has a lot of walks and strikeouts on his card. He was kind of a 3 true outcomes player. You can see across the cards the letters BB and the letter K, and then some notations after some of them throughout. And so this means it's a possible walk or a possible strikeout if you roll one of those numbers. So look at the number 51 against a right-handed pitcher, and all box seat cards are carded for splits, both batter cards and pitcher cards. Great thing about it is, you have a lot of righty-lefty matchups, and they play out on the table just like they do in real life. So if you rolled a 51 on Wynn's card, you would see BB. This is a case of where he's going to walk, regardless of the pitcher's capability, with one exception. Only one time that this is not an automatic walk, and that's if he's facing a pitcher like Jerry Cram, and this is why I chose Jerry Cram as one of the pitchers to showcase. You look at his, in the middle, it says BB's rating, versus lefties versus righties. And if you look at the top of the versus righties column, you see EWR. And that means extreme walk rating. Jerry Cram did not walk a lot of right-handed batters. I think it's 1 batter he walked in among 49 he faced. So he's not likely to walk right-handed batters. And so if you were to roll a 51 on Wynn's card and you get that straight BB, it's going to be a walk unless the pitcher has an extreme walk rating against that side batter, Wynn is a right-handed batter, so it would apply. And in that case, you would look at the red die. And if it's 0 to 4, it's still a walk. If it's 5 to 9, it is not a walk. And it becomes what's called a special situation, out. I'll explain those later. It's basically going to be an out that's triggered by something on the pitcher card. So that's what happens when you get a straight BB on the batter card. And you can see Wynn has them at 51, at 62, and also at 23 against right-handed batters, and then several places against left-handed batters as well. He walked even more against lefties. You can see there are 6 places where he will draw an automatic walk against a lefty. Now, look at 14. 14, it says BB -2 on the right side. So that is a case of where you would look at the pitcher and you'd look in his chart next to -2 for that batter's handedness. So Jerry Cram, because he doesn't walk many right-handed batters, he's got a notation at -2 that says NF2. That's going to stand for normal fly 2. And in essence, what happened is Jerry Cram took away the walk, and it's going to be an out. Jimmy Wynn's going to fly out because Jerry Cram is a great control pitcher against righties. If you go over to Tom Seaver, he's a pretty good control pitcher too, but he does walk Wynn at the -2. It's a blank, so that means he doesn't block the walk, and Wynn is going to draw the walk anyway. So that's how you handle anything that says BB with a notation in parentheses next to it. So if you go to 42 on Wynn's card on the right side, you see BB3. And that means you're going to look at the 3 line against right-handed batters for the pitcher. Cram is going to block it and turn it into a ground out. RG2 is regular ground out or regular ground ball. And on Seaver's card, it's an HG2. It's a hard ground ball. So in both cases, the pitcher blocks the walk. If a pitcher, if their entire BB's rating columns are blank, that means they walk a lot of batters. That means they really have little to no control. And you probably don't want them pitching very much because they could rack up walks pretty quickly, especially against a guy like Wynn who drew a lot of walks. So that's how that works. Strikeouts, very similar. You're going to look at the card, and wherever there's a K, if it's a straight K, like on 32, Wynn's going to strike out. And it doesn't matter what it looks like on the pitcher's card. If it's a K, it's a K. It's an automatic strikeout. And there's no way that's ever overridden. But if you look at, say, on Wynn's card 43 against a righty, it's K2. So K2 would be looking at the pitcher's K's rating matrix. And against a righty, Cram is going to have an HG2 there. So Cram didn't strike out a lot of guys. He didn't walk a lot, but he didn't strike out a lot. So he's going to replace that strikeout with a ground ball. So think about it as somebody who pitches to contact. And in Cram's case, he's not going to strike out a lot of guys. He's going to need to rely on his defense. And so that HG2 means instead of striking out, Wynn got the bat on the ball and hit a hard ground ball. And that could turn out to be good for the pitcher. It could be a double play instead of a strikeout, get 2 outs instead of 1. But it also could be an error. If that red die were to be a 0, then you'd have to check for an error. So this is showing that certain pitchers are not going to strike out as many batters. They're going to pitch to contact, and that's what Cram does. But if you look at Seaver, his K's rating matrix is almost totally blank. He's got 1 against a lefty batter, but Wynn's a righty. If you get K2, Wynn's going to strike out because Seaver struck out a lot of batters. He was a power pitcher. He didn't have to rely on pitching to contact as much. He got you to swing and miss. And so for Wynn, in this case, anything against Seaver that has a K next to it is going to be a strikeout because he always strikes out right-handed batters. If Wynn were a lefty and you rolled the K2, then Seaver would turn it into a hard ground ball. But in this case, it's a strikeout. So that's how you handle walks and strikeouts in this game. And I'm going to stop the video now. And the next time we come back, we're going to talk about various balls in play because that's a little bit more of a multi-step process. It's pretty fun though, and I'm eager to teach it to you. So thanks for watching.